Hi, everybody. My name is Mona Gadiri. I'm super excited to have you all here for our Microsoft Zero to Hero session this week. We're here celebrating women in tech every day, all day. But this is a special day to celebrate a very special woman who has been an amazing contributor to our Microsoft community and who I'm proud to call a fellow Microsoft Security MVP. Sucheta, it's so great to have you. Thank you so much for coming on today. How are you?
Thank you, Mona. I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. Hey, everyone. I am Sucheta, and I'm so glad to be here, especially with my dear friend Mona co-hosting this. um,
Amazing.
I'm delighted to be speaking here today.
Yeah, would you like to please tell us a little bit about yourself so the audience can get to know you a little bit? I know you're going to cover it a little bit in your slides, but it's a little bit about where you are today and what your role is.
Absolutely, yes. So I'm a Microsoft MVP in Azure and security, like Mona mentioned, and I have over 18 years of experience working in large global enterprise IT environments. Currently, I work in healthcare IT as the manager of an endpoint engineering team. So that's my exciting work as of this point. And I hope that you all have been enjoying Zero to Hero and diving into tech insights and ready to learn here today. Yeah.
Great. Oh, we have a guest. You want to come say hi to everybody? No?
Hello.
Okay, 1 second. All right. Well, without further ado. Okay, we will in a second. Without further ado, Sucheta, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Mona. Let me start here. Okay, you should soon be able to see my slides. And yeah, that's my topic here. Welcome to my session, Exploring Microsoft Intune, Manage and Secure Your Devices and Apps. In the next hour here, we'll learn about Microsoft Intune, which meets enterprise device management and security challenges. So I hope you're ready and ready to learn and grow and dive in here. I already kind of introduced myself, but that's me. My socials are listed here if you'd like to reach out. I also host a tech blog. I write about Azure, Intune, and other related Microsoft products and services. If you want to check out, it's techcaching.com. And here is our objectives for the session. We'll start with reviewing enterprise challenges and understand how Intune helps address them. I'll explain what Intune is. We'll go over several core capabilities as well as some advanced features of Intune. We'll cover device management, application management, endpoint security, and much more. And obviously, what's a session these days without talking about AI or Copilot? So I will be also touching upon Copilot in Intune. We'll then explore various aspects of the Intune portal, that is the Intune Admin Center, during the demo, and I will wrap it up later with next steps and answer questions. So why Intune, right? What challenges are we actually trying to solve that make Intune the right solution? The number one challenge, enterprise security. And where do attacks start in an enterprise scenario? On endpoints, right? Organizations need to protect their data where it's most vulnerable, which is on end user devices. Additionally, organizations need to ensure that end user devices, applications, and data are compliant with their enterprise standards and other regulations as well. And Microsoft Intune is the solution that securely and centrally manages devices and applications. It helps protect access and data on organization-owned devices and users' personal devices, and has compliance and reporting features that support the zero trust security model. Intune fosters hybrid work culture by helping manage BYOD, bring your own device scenarios without compromising security. And it offers employees flexibility while safeguarding the corporate data. Intune also ensures consistency in organizational applications, device settings, and configurations by providing a centralized platform for device and application management. It simplifies the deployment, updates, and monitoring of devices, applications, as well as security policies, and it streamlines IT management across the organization. And here is an elaborated introduction to Intune. Intune is a cloud-based unified endpoint management solution from Microsoft that controls user access to organizational resources while providing app and device management across mobile devices, desktop computers, virtual endpoints. It integrates seamlessly with Azure, Entra ID, and the whole Microsoft ecosystem for that matter. And it enables a modern cloud-based approach to managing devices, managing applications, as well as security. Intune has a web-based administration console, which is what I was talking about earlier that we'll explore during the demo. Now, in general, device management means having controls in place to centrally administer devices, regardless of their physical location. You optimize device features for business use. You deploy and update software on the devices. You configure settings, enforce security, enforce policies. You monitor the devices. Now, Intune offers exactly these capabilities. And the graphic illustrates key features of Intune. If you look at the bottom part of the graphic, you notice Intune offers two device management solutions: mobile device management, that is MDM, and mobile application management, that is MAM. Mobile device management is the management and security of company-owned devices, while mobile application management refers to management and security of work applications, including M365 apps such as Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, which are primarily on users' personal devices. And that is where they access company apps and data. But MAM can also be leveraged on company-owned devices. And we'll explore further MDM versus MAM in an upcoming slide. But first, let's understand Intune's security capabilities on a high level. With Intune, you can manage devices owned by the organization and devices owned by the end users, as I just touched upon on the earlier slide. And you see that on the graphic towards the left. The supported device platforms include Android, Apple, Linux, as well as Windows client devices, which also include virtual machines and the most recent Windows 365 cloud PCs. And Entra ID is what is used for device and identity storage, as well as permissions. And Intune controls devices through policies, as you see on the graphic around the center part. This includes security policies, and application and device-specific policies. The devices are then evaluated for compliance with these policies. And using Entra conditional access features, access on such devices to corporate applications is controlled. These can be apps, again, such as SharePoint and Teams, like you see on the right here. And as organizations move towards a zero trust environment, aligning your organization's resources with the three core principles, verify explicitly, use least privilege access, and assume breach, is crucial. Intune helps configure and deploy many of the necessary controls to support this zero trust security framework. And additionally, if you look at the top left of the graphic, Intune can integrate with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint or other mobile threat defense partners to help protect your managed devices, personal devices, as well as applications. And apart from this, A couple other key capabilities of Intune worth noting from a security standpoint would be Windows Autopilot, Windows Auto Patch. Now, Autopilot ensures that devices are securely provisioned for end users and that they are ready for use with minimal user input, and that they are compliant with policies, reducing security risks during the onboarding process. And then Autopatch automates the deployment of critical updates, ensuring devices are always protected from known vulnerabilities, reducing the organization's attack surface. These capabilities streamline Windows device deployment as well as management and ensure that the devices are securely deployed, securely updated, and compliant with organizational standards. Next, now there are a couple of ways to approach device management, as I was referring to earlier. You can manage different aspects of devices using the features built into Intune. This approach is called mobile device management, if you refer to the left part of the graphic. Organization-owned devices that are provided to end users are fully managed by enrolling the devices into Intune for MDM. Enrollment is the process that enables device management. With enrollment, Intune applies the necessary configs, apps, and security policies to these corporate devices. An admin can push apps and settings on these enrolled devices, and admins have full control of the devices. And if a device is ever lost or stolen, they can remove all the data from the device because it is fully managed and corporate owned. And on the other hand, users' personal devices, that is BYOD, laptops or desktops that they use for work, they are not typically enrolled in Intune for full control and management. You as an admin would only manage applications on such devices. This approach is called MAM, which is Mobile Application Management, which is on the right part of the graphic. And MAM controls corporate data and applications like Outlook, Teams, your M365 suite is a great example, allowing users to use their personal devices to access organizational resources. And in case a user's device is lost or stolen, admins can remove organizational data and or the Intune managed applications. And users' other apps, their personal settings, personal apps, they remain untouched because it's their personal device and you as an admin are not fully managing the device. You can also use a combination of MAM and MDM together. MAM can be leveraged for company-owned devices controlled through MDM. Using MAM, organizational data can be further protected at the application level on company-owned devices. This enables enhanced security controls in addition to leveraging MDM for corporate-owned devices. And getting further now into device management, let's look into some of the device-specific policies that we viewed earlier. To enable a device for management into Intune, like I mentioned, it must be enrolled. Admins create platform-specific enrollment profiles so devices can be managed. Enrollment is typically set up for corporate-owned devices and enables Intune to start enforcing policies and profiles onto the devices. As examples of enrollment types, iOS devices, that is iPhones, are set up for enrollment with automated device enrollment for full management. Windows devices are intra-joined or hybrid joined, and so on. And then looking into the policies, device configuration policies or device configuration profiles are settings that you apply to devices to manage and control their behavior, to enforce security, to configure device features, and to ensure consistency across all your enterprise devices. Almost all types of settings on devices can be deployed using configuration profiles, such as managing Bluetooth or power settings, custom VPN settings, Wi-Fi settings, and so on. You can configure settings for devices that are shared with many users, and may not be associated with a specific user. Intune allows to configure and manage such dedicated or kiosk devices that are typically used by frontline workers. And then device restrictions, these configure settings and control security, hardware, data sharing, password requirements, and so on these devices. For example, you create a device restriction profile to prevent iOS or iPadOS devices or the users from using the device camera, or restrict them to use only a specific Wi-Fi. So device restrictions basically are what controls security. And then we also have device features, which is very specific to Apple devices. These settings control features such as the home screen experience on an iPhone or iPad. Again, very particular for what Apple devices offer. And then we have device compliance policies. These are rules or checks that define whether a device meets your organization's security and operational standards. By deploying these policies, you can ensure that only compliant devices can access corporate resources, which enhances security and governance. Admins can create and deploy these policies to check the compliance health of devices. You can create compliance policies with settings such as blocking simple passwords, requiring a minimum OS version on the device, require that mobile phones are not jailbroken, and so on. So that's device management in a nutshell. And then switching gears to application management, Intune enables you to manage the entire application lifecycle, including settings and configuration, deployment, updates, as well as removal of applications. It supports store apps, M365 apps, web apps, as well as line of business apps. Intune enables Win32 app management on Windows devices. It allows to install, configure, protect, and monitor your desktop applications, which are Windows classic apps. And these are typically packaged using the Win32 content prep tool into a .intune Win installation format. If your organization creates its own applications, you have developers, you can use Windows Package Manager to add apps to a private store for deployment to end users. It is a deployment option for apps with extension like .exe, .msi, or even MSIX. Windows Package Manager is a comprehensive solution that consists of a command line tool, that is Winget, and a set of services for installing applications on Windows devices. And from a security perspective, through Intune, you can manage and protect organizational data at the application level on both company-owned as well as personal BYOD devices. And MAM supports creating policies to safeguard and manage access to apps and data, that is application level management through policies. Now, let's expand upon the application related policies here. Intune offers app configuration profiles or app configuration policies, as well as app protection policies, which you can see in the center of the graphic, along with managed apps located at the top right. These are all essential for effectively managing and securing applications across your organization. With the help of app configuration policies, admins can do things like configure apps for users before the app gets installed on end users' devices. App protection policies are important. They help prevent data leaks by ensuring that company data is not saved to, say, local storage or users' personal cloud services. Using app protection policies, admins can block actions like copy and paste between personal and work apps, or require a PIN when accessing corporate apps. These policies can enforce a minimum app version requirement. So it is great to build and deploy app protection policies from a security standpoint. These policies can selectively wipe company data on devices that don't meet security standards, like if a device has an outdated OS or if it is jailbroken. Users' personal data in this case, however, is kept intact and only company data is erased, which is really great. App protection policies can be combined with app configuration policies to enhance security for corporate managed apps on both corporate as well as BYOD devices. And managed apps are supported partner and Microsoft apps, which are selected and configured by your organization to securely use at work, with app protection policies applied to protect the corporate internal data. Managed apps meet your organization's security requirements. The app configuration and app protection policies apply only to these managed apps, not to users' other personal apps. And examples of managed apps, again, are your SharePoint, Outlook, and Teams. Now let's dive into endpoint security, which is the device security offerings in Intune. Intune's endpoint security capabilities provide advanced security and management for organizational data, as well as organizational devices and applications. And you can use Intune to enforce security settings across devices. There are several essential security controls available in Intune, and all of these come together to provide a full suite of a security solution. And they help harden your organization's security posture. Using these, you can build and deploy security settings to safeguard devices, mitigate risks, identify at-risk devices, implement remediation strategies, restore devices to a compliant state or a secure state, and so on. And many of these capabilities are built into the Windows OS, like disk encryption, Windows Firewall. So let's review each of these now. Disk encryption protects data at rest using built-in encryption methods. For example, BitLocker for Windows, FileVault for macOS, and with Intune, you can configure policies to automatically encrypt devices. Firewall, now you can configure Windows as well as macOS devices built-in firewall settings to protect network integrity and also block malicious traffic. So you can do the firewall settings for devices. Then we have endpoint privilege management, which is EPM. With EPM, you can implement least privilege by limiting administrative rights on endpoints. EPM allows users to run as standard users while still completing tasks that require elevated privileges. And examples could include installing applications, updating device drivers. And then we have account protection. This safeguards user identities by enforcing MFA, password policies, settings for Windows Hello, credential guard, and so on. You can configure Windows Labs, which is the local administrator password solution, to manage the password of a single local administrator account per device. And then we have security baselines. These are Microsoft recommended security configs that provide a default, very restrictive security posture to ensure that the devices meet minimum security standards. Now let's head over to the next slide to learn about the remaining capabilities here, because most of them specifically are centered around Defender. So Defender for Endpoint, MDE. It is a mobile threat defense solution that offers advanced threat analytics and automated investigation to manage vulnerabilities, prevent security breaches, as well as limit their impact. To leverage these capabilities of MDE, we can integrate it with Intune and improve the ability to identify and respond to risks. The endpoint detection and response blade in Intune is where we onboard devices to MDE so that MDE can utilize threat data from the devices. We can take advantage of the endpoint detection and response capabilities of MDE, which provide advanced attack detections that are near real time and actionable. Security analysts can understand scope of a breach and take action to remediate threats. Intune also allows admins to set up attack surface reduction settings. MDE includes capabilities to help reduce attack surfaces, that is, areas where your organization is vulnerable to attacks. Admins can create ASR rules to block executables and scripts, say, used in Office applications, which could attempt to download or run suspicious scripts. You can also block unauthorized removable media and so on. And then in Intune, we have a blade for security tasks. This provides a workflow for admins to guide remediation efforts between Intune and MDE, which is Defender. And with Intune, we can also deploy antivirus settings. With Intune, you can configure Defender to protect endpoints from malware, viruses, malicious software. Defender antivirus is the next generation protection component of MDE, that is Defender for Endpoint. Now, next, let's delve into a couple other important security aspects in Intune, device compliance and conditional access. Now, compliance policies in Intune define the rules and settings that devices must meet to stay secure, such as running a minimum OS version or preventing jailbroken devices. These policies regularly monitor devices for compliance. They identify potential security risks. If a device is not compliant, we can take actions like notifying users to fix it or remotely locking or retiring a device. So admins have control over fixing compliance. And lastly, what we have here is conditional access. Now, conditional access is an Entra feature. It is available in Intune, so you can configure it via Intune as well. With conditional access, you can enforce compliance that we just talked about. You can block non-compliant devices from accessing corporate resources. For example, if a user's personal device does not meet your compliance rules, that is, if, say, if the device is not at a minimum OS version that you specify or is jailbroken, for instance, then you can block access to organizational resources, Teams and Outlook on such non-compliant devices. If a device accessing company resources is in fact compliant per the compliance policies that you set, then access to those applications is granted. So you get to control and secure your devices, applications, as well as access. So those were the endpoint security offerings that are part of Intune, and we'll take a look at them during the demo as well. But let's talk about Copilot. So it's really time to talk about yet another Copilot in the Microsoft world, Copilot in Intune. It went GA just last month. It is a subset of Security Copilot, so it comes with Security Copilot. It is an Intune embedded AI-powered tool that provides valuable insights to admins tailored for their organizational needs. So Copilot in Intune is an offering primarily for Intune admins. It automates routine tasks and thus helps enhance security and efficiency, which reduces repetitive work. For instance, an admin can prompt the Copilot, asking it to summarize a Windows device configuration profile. The admin can then use the summary to provide for documentation or even for change control. Copilot can also summarize a device and pull together all details pertaining to the device in Intune, which really avoids the admin having to click through multiple areas within Intune. So it saves them time. Copilot in Intune provides real-time guidance to admins when they are creating policies, so they can make better and informed decisions. Admins can enter prompts and type in questions to obtain responses and insights from the Copilot to ensure that the policies and settings that they are configuring optimize business outcomes safely as well as intended. It can make you understand how each setting works, which is really great. as well as the security impact of various settings. It can help identify whether the same setting is already in use in another policy. So you can kind of avoid conflicts. Copilot can tell what Microsoft recommends for specific configs. This way, the admin does not need to navigate away from the Intune portal to look for information or break their workflow during policy creation. And as for assisting with troubleshooting, Copilot helps to discover and remediate the root cause of device issues. It can quickly analyze apps and policies assigned to a device to help determine issues affecting your users on their devices. It helps obtain detailed information about specific devices, including installed applications, group membership, and so on. It can help compare configs on two different devices. It offers an error analyzer prompt, which allows to enter an error code, and you get more information about the error and you receive possible resolutions. This helps resolve issues faster without the admin having to look through several distinct places during troubleshooting. So that's Copilot in Intune, which delivers native, natural language driven data exploration experience um, specifically for Intune admins. And that takes us to the demo. So let's explore the Intune portal and look at some of the most important controls that we just discussed. So let me get to my portal here. I hope that is still visible. So this is the Azure portal, as you all know. The reason I'm bringing this up is if you type in Intune here, it is going to bring up Intune because Intune is an Azure service. So you click into that. This is the landing page of the Intune administrator portal. It gives you quick status view into important aspects of your Intune environment, gives some insights, as well as learning material right here down at the bottom of the screen. So you can, you start your day as an admin, you can come here, look for uh, important issues or things that need your attention for the day. And then there's a dashboard, which again gives you a good snapshot of your deployments and how things are progressing in your environment. You can create your own dashboard or customize the existing one. But what's important here is the services that Intune offers. And the core services really are applications, application management specifically, as well as device management and endpoint security. Explorer is the newest addition, which is for Copilot and Intune. And then you have groups and users. These two really are what you see in your Entra portals, because Intune relies on Entra for permissions, directory services, identities. So what you have in Entra will be shown here for groups and users. Intune also provides some good reports, which can be helpful for admins. And then there's a surface management portal, which is dedicated to managing and securing Surface devices. It helps gain insights into the health of all Surface devices and monitor device warranty and support requests in one location. So it's helpful if you manage Surface in your organization. Then we have tenant administration, which admins have control over various aspects of the Intune setup itself, and they can do that through the tenant administration part. And those settings are managed through this portion here, which we will also explore as we move along here. Troubleshooting and support is where you can actually troubleshoot issues for a user. So you start with looking up a user, and then whatever their devices are, you can see them and you can go from there with troubleshooting issues on their devices. So that's on a high level for what Intune has to offer. And if we go deeper now, starting with devices, again, this is a snapshot for the landing page of devices, but if you go to all devices. This is going to show you all the devices in your environment. I don't have a whole lot, but this is what it shows for the mix of the device platform types as well as device ownership types. And then you can also see those lists by platform. So for instance, if you click on Windows, you see all of your Windows devices. And what's important here is enrollment, because enrollment is what enables a device for management. So the way Windows devices are brought into management for Intune, into Intune is enrollment via, um, mostly via automatic enrollment, which configures the devices to enroll when they join or register with Entra. So that's Windows enrollment, which is different from the other platform types. And then there's configuration policies or configuration profiles that you can create for Windows devices. Here you can see I have a number of configuration profiles, but I can show you one of these. And if you remember, configurations really are the settings that you can do for uniformity and restrictions across your devices. So I have a very basic setting here, and these could go long. You can create complex profiles. I mean, the recommendation really is to keep things granular, but this is just one of the several settings that Intune offers. And what I've created here is, blocking, allowing the advertising of Bluetooth on a Windows device, and blocking that it is discoverable. So that's just one of the settings. But for all these policies and profiles in Intune, the profiles by themselves are not of much use unless you actually assign them out to a group. So this is where that assignment will happen, which means you're deploying the policy out. So that was Windows configuration. And then there's compliance. We talked about compliance a little bit also. So if I show you this one, this is where I have a compliance policy set and deployed out to my Windows devices, where I'm specifying that the minimum OS version should be this. And BitLocker is required, secure boot is required on my Windows devices. If these conditions are not met, then the device is marked non-compliant immediately. So that's how you can configure. And again, there's several settings in here that you can use and try and create better compliance policies for your devices. Intune also helps you do group policy settings like you have on premises. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. So you can import your ADMX profiles from on-prem, as well as you can use group policy analytics to analyze your on-prem group policy objects and determine your level of support from an Intune or cloud standpoint. And then scripts and recommendations really is your proactive remediation scripts, where you can run script packages to proactively find and fix issues even before the users notice them on their devices. And of course, you can update Windows devices from here. And with updates also, there's a lot that you can do. We have auto patch as well now, which kind of helps with a hands-off approach. So that's Windows. Now let's get into iOS quickly. The way iOS and iPad OS devices are enrolled is very different from Windows, as well as different from Android. Here, what you do is you do automated device enrollment through Apple Business Manager. So your organization would have an associated Apple Business Manager account for your tenant. And an Apple MDM push certificate is necessary or like a prereq to be able to start enrolling Apple devices, which is iOS, iPadOS, as well as macOS. Again, similarly, you have configuration and compliance profiles that you can create for your Apple devices. So macOS very similar to iOS, iPadOS, but Android is again very different. You see all your Android devices here. For enrollment, you have all these different types based on the ownership and different things that you would want to, or different ways that you would want to manage or control the devices. You may have dedicated devices. You may have single user devices. So there are different enrollment profile types, and you can choose what fits your organizational needs. And a prereq for this is the managed Google Play. So as long as you have that set up, you can start enrolling Android devices into Intune. Again, with Android, you have configuration profiles, device restrictions, where you can create restrictions like password, for example, require a password type, or work profile settings where you can actually block copy and paste between work apps and personal apps, work and personal profiles, as well as say things like data sharing between work and personal profiles, screen capture, which is what you can probably block or allow, camera, a lot of settings. Again, this is just minimalistic settings that I've done here. And then similarly, you have compliance policies for Android. I have these three. Let me show you this one. So in this one, what I have said, I will come back to this one non-compliant device that you see, and we'll see why that is. But let's first see what this policy is all about. So what I'm doing here is for my Android phone that is managed through Intune, if the minimum OS version is not 14, then the device is marked non-compliant immediately. I'm also sending out a push notification to the end user after 15 days. But what's important to note here is that the device will be marked non-compliant if the OS is not at level 14. And if you look here, going back to that previous page, I do see one device which is non-compliant. If we view the report for that, this is my device, which shows non-compliant. And we still don't know the reason, right? Because what if I had more than one settings in that profile? I would want to know which setting it is not going with, or which setting is not satisfying. So for that, you can actually go back to the device and drill down into the device. Maybe I can go from the device's blade. And if you drill down into the device and look at the device compliance policy here, you can actually see that the minimum OS version is what is being flagged as not being compliant. Now, I know for a fact that the OS version on this particular Android device of mine is 13. I kind of kept it that way for testing purpose. So that's why it shows non-compliant in Intune. And then if you remember, for non-compliant devices, we can have conditional access policies and then block access to corporate resources on such devices because they are not compliant with your organizational policies. And that's kind of the gist of what you do with the whole zero trust deployment and Defender for Endpoint integration, where you actually identify risky devices, you stop access or block access on risky devices, and you safeguard your enterprise. So that was devices. Let's quickly look into applications. Application management here through Intune, you can have, this shows all of your applications in Intune. Again, all platform types, and you can actually add or create newer applications here. So I think I already have Edge, but you could add like M365 apps, and you can pull that into your portal. But again, you can see, look at those apps from a platform specific perspective. But this is where you do application configurations. So I have one for Outlook where I have it configured such that when this application installs on the end user's device, the end user doesn't have to do much. It is already configured for them. So that's what I would do through this configuration profile. And then app protection policies is what I was talking about, is really important from a BYOD scenario standpoint, where you protect at the application level. So I have an Android app protection policy where I'm doing a number of settings, like preventing backups. I'm blocking that. Send organizational data to other apps. I'm only sending to policy managed apps. or allow user to save copies of selected services. I am not allowing that. So, or save copies of organizational data, I'm blocking that. So there's a lot you can do as far as applications are concerned, and these app protection policies can be deployed on BYOD devices so that you protect organizational data at the application level. So that's applications for the most part. And then if we go now into endpoint security, which is really interesting because there's a whole lot in here. For endpoint security, I will start with disk encryption. Here you can do your BitLocker settings for Windows as well as firewall settings for macOS. Again, what you can do is, whatever you can enforce that it requires a device encryption, or you can disallow standard user encryption. You can actually specify the encryption method. So again, several settings you can do in here just for disk encryption itself. Similarly, for firewall, you can configure firewall rules, you can configure firewall settings. Then let's get into account protection. This is where you can create your local admin password solution policies, where you can actually specify where you want to back up your local admin passwords, whether to on-premises or to your Entra, and different aspects of how you want to handle the passwords, the password rotation, password age, complexity, and so on. So that's account protection. And then we have security baselines, which is kind of the most restrictive minimum security settings or standards, which are recommended by Microsoft. So these are templates. You can use these and change or modify for your needs and create new ones based off of these, and then deploy them out as baselines to your organizational devices. Now, this is mostly useful for greenfield scenarios where someone is just starting out with Intune, or there's a new admin who just wants to try things out. But from an enterprise level or enterprise perspective, you really need to modify these, or even just directly go with configuration profiles or restrictions, because that gives you more granular control into deploying security baselines. But these are helpful for small businesses or newer businesses. And then we have Defender for Endpoint, which is MDE. And like I was mentioning, we need to integrate MDE with Intune. So some of that integration happens here, along with some of the settings. If you see, the connection status here is enabled for my Defender for Endpoint or Microsoft Security Portal, which is this one, and my Intune. So it's connected, it's enabled, and properly syncing. So I have Defender looking at my devices for threat analytics. So that's Defender for Endpoint. And once you start onboarding devices to Defender, you'll start seeing those devices here. So these are the devices that are onboarded to Defender. And this is mainly the endpoint detection and response capabilities of Defender for Endpoint. Then we have antivirus, which is Defender antivirus. You can deploy out upon onboarding, you can deploy out Defender and antivirus to your Windows devices. And you can do various settings for the Defender antivirus as well. Then we have ASR, which is attack surface reduction. So these help reduce the attack surface that your organization may be vulnerable to. Like Office, for instance, this rule, say you want to prevent Office and Adobe applications to run from running child processes, which may be harmful or malicious. So I create a policy to block all Office applications from creating those child processes. And then similarly, I created another one for Adobe as well. And then security tasks is now this when you generate tasks for Intune admins from your Defender portal, those can be visible here in the Intune portal so that the Intune admins can take action on those security recommendations from Defender. So it's more like a guided workflow between security and Intune teams. And then lastly, what we have here is compliance, which we kind of looked at a couple of these compliance policies already. Remember the minimum OS version. And what I really want to touch upon last is conditional access. So now, to give an example, we can pick this one, which is block access for unknown or unsupported device platforms. Now, the way this is configured is, if you look at this, now excluding the current user, for all other users accessing any cloud applications, now they will be blocked access, that is denied access, if the device platform, which is in the condition, if the device platform is anything but these. So in other terms, users will be granted access to cloud applications only on known or supported device types, which are listed here. Basically, for the exclusion, you would select any platforms that your organization knowingly uses. And this is just one of the examples of how you can create a conditional access policy. Again, with conditional access, there's a plethora of things that you can do. There are templates as well for various categories. You can utilize them to create conditional access policies, but you always have to be very careful with deploying out conditional access policies because you could get locked out. So always test, always ensure that the current user is not included. Which is kind of default, but you want to ensure that that's how it is. And when you create a conditional access policy, it will always create in a report only mode so that you can first identify or analyze what it's doing before you turn it on and start deploying it out. So that's mainly the endpoint security blade here. And then reports I was mentioning, Intune does have a good number of reports now coming in, which you can use as an admin for looking at various metrics. Users and groups are what you see from your Entra portal, the same thing. And then tenant administration really is what Intune admins can do for setting up various aspects of the tenant. And then here you see all these Intune add-ons that you can opt for, but obviously it comes with a price. So, and then troubleshooting and support is where I was mentioning if I want to look at a device, I can put the user's name, and then I can see all the devices associated with the user and then troubleshoot from there. If you see, there are a number of tabs here, including diagnostics and such. So that comes in handy. So yes, that was the demo. Hope that was helpful and kind of covered the whole portal here real quick. But going back here and last slide almost, to recap, we explored how Intune helps organizations manage and secure applications and devices, ensuring secure access to organizational resources from anywhere on any device, thus ensuring enterprise mobility and security. And apart from device and applications management and security, Intune has much more to offer. Like I was showing briefly, reporting capabilities, compatibility with Graph API, a number of add-ons such as remote help, cloud PKI, advanced analytics, enterprise application management, as well as integration with other Microsoft products and services such as Configuration Manager or SCCM. You can explore Intune with a trial license. You can perhaps sign up for an E5 trial, which includes Intune. I think it is P1. And there's also the MD 102 certification exam from Microsoft that covers Intune specific learning. So check it all out and skill up in Intune for robust device management. And that's a wrap. I hope you got a good understanding of Intune here today. Thank you, and reach out with any questions that you may have, and good luck with exploring Intune. Thank you.
Sucheta, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your insight. I had to migrate downstairs because it's raining like crazy here in Brooklyn. But yes, that was a fantastic session. I learned so much. I love the intersection of Defender for Endpoint and Intune and how it simplifies the deployment and baselining process. As a security human and all the security human out in the SOC,
you get
know
it.
that this is one of the hardest jobs in security is keeping baseline policies consistent, making sure those conditional access policies overlap with the device policies and the data policies in there. We were making a joke that I feel like the new golden image these days is more about what your conditional access policies are and your device policies are than even what's on your operating system anymore, because how we use our devices isn't just about the devices anymore. And I think you did such a great job, really explaining that and bringing that Azure connection back in. I think, the other thing I hear a lot is that Microsoft makes it hard to jump between, devices and operating systems and Azure. Intune is probably one of the best tools to learn if you really are trying to get good at both at the same time, or at least get exposed, to both at the same time, because it does really stretch you both in the direction of learning about, endpoint devices and operating system security. Love hearing you talk about BitLocker and about Secure Boot and all these kinds of things. They matter, right? Those
all
are
the
the
fun terms.
kinds of things that really matter. So thank you so much again for sharing your wisdom. Thank you all to all of you who have joined or will join or tune in later to this wonderful talk. It was a fantastic opportunity to hear you and your expertise in practice. So thank you so much, Sucheta. It was a fantastic talk.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Mona.
Anything for our listeners or learners out there? Any advice?
I would just say keep learning and growing, and you'll get there. You'll get wherever you want to be. So never stop learning. That's the advice.
That's right. Absolutely. Yes. For all of those ladies out there, there are wonderful women like myself and Sucheta who are here to guide you and want to be part of your security journey, of your zero to hero journey. So feel free to reach out and engage with us on social media. You can find Sucheta on LinkedIn. She posts a fantastic blog, like she mentioned. So definitely give it a follow. Thank you again, Sucheta, for your time. Have a great one, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.